Hi, today I'll talk about the Listen Bus feature in Studio One. I think it was introduced after version 5 or maybe version 5.5. I forgot. But it's a great feature actually, and I use the Listen Bus as a proxy to the main out, and I'll explain why I call it a proxy to the Listen Bus. But one thing you need to make sure that if you want to follow this kind of this particular workflow, you have to make sure that the main out, okay, so the main out and the listen bus both are routed to same physical output pair. For example, you can see that both of them are routed to same physical output pair. Okay, see, both of them are routed to the same physical output pair. Because if you don't do that, if you route a listen bus to a different output pair, then you'll not be able to follow this particular workflow. So keep that in mind. Okay. So now I'll explain the proxy workflow, but before that, I'll just need to talk about why we actually needed that kind of proxy main output. So in earlier days, when in Studio One, when you used to have a SonarWorks plugin or any room correction software plugin, for example AIC and stuff. So what you needed to do is you put the SonarWorks plugin or the AIC plugin on your main output, okay, and you'll hear the playback through your speakers. But then just before the rendering process, just before rendering the main out, you have to turn that room correction plugin off. Otherwise, all the filters that the room correction plugin was applying would actually be implemented on the rendered, which you don't want, because that would sound horrible, right? You don't want the room correction software to actually alter the uh, rendered output. You just wanted it to alter the you know sound coming through your speaker, so that you can have a better listening, or better listening, yeah, better listening environment in your listening spot. But you don't want the plugin to actually alter your rendered output, right, or the rendered audio. So what you had to do is you basically had to turn off the room correction software every time you wanted to render, right? And that was kind of a hassle, I would say. But with listen bus, if you route both the main output and listen bus to the same pair of outputs, physical outputs, obviously, then that's possible. The workflow that I'm gonna talk about. Otherwise, it won't be possible. So what this does is basically I can load any amounts of plugin to the listen bus, and what it will do is it will affect just the playback that's coming through the speakers, right? It won't affect the actual main out, but it will affect the audio that's coming through the playback system, right? So if you render your main out, it will all the plugins that are on the listen bus will not affect the render anyway, right? So basically you can put all your room correction softwares and stuff on your listen bus, and so what will happen is when you are listening through your speakers, all those plugins on the listen bus will be activated. It will always stay activated, but it will affect the way you are listening through your speakers. But the moment you actually render it, it will render the main output, and as those plugins are not particularly on main output, uh, those plugins will not be able to affect the rendered audio which you are rendering through the main output, right? So that's the actual benefit of having this kind of workflow. I'll show you what I usually do. So I have two plugins actually on Listen Bus. So one is this Insight plugin. I hope you all know this is from Isotope. What it does, obviously I could have put it on the main out, but still I did it because it doesn't change any audio. It just passes the audio through them, and it just shows the you know several audio factors actually. For example, the level, the spectrogram, and then the left right correlation stuff. But the next plugin that I use, it's actually important that I put it on the listen bus, because otherwise there'll be some gain related discrepancies. So yeah, so the next plugin that I use is basically BX Control V2. I'll tell you why I use it. So it's I guess it's a free plugin actually. So I needed a monitoring controller, not a monitor controller, because I don't have multiple monitors. So I can show you actually once. Yeah, so you can see that I have just one pair of monitors here. Also, this is these are not two monitors. It's just one monitor system. This is left and this is right. So that's the main speakers, and that's the subwoofer. You should not be considering it as two pairs. It's just uh, one speaker. This is one, that's another, right? So anyway, I don't have multiple speakers, but I needed the mono function, or just listen to the sides only. So I actually use Lemur. It's discontinued now, so I actually program the buttons and the GUI. It's very easy to program this kind of stuffs in Lemur, but the Lemur is actually discontinued. But you can get the last version. Just don't expect any updates because it's discontinued. But you can get the latest version actually. The owner or the creator actually uploaded it to his Google Drive, so you can download it. Now I actually, so why I use this, so you can see that this plugin is actually connected to this thing. Okay, so I can you can see on the plugin that when I turn on this mono sum button, also this is kind of interactive. You can see is showing this sum to mono thing, and similarly the side difference and all this stuff, right? So also, what's this solo in place? You can see on the plugin it's called in place. So solo in place, if you turn this off, right? So if you turn this off, what will happen is, if you solo left, it will solo the left signal, but play that left signal through both your speakers, right? When the solo in place is off. But when the solo in place is on, it will play the left signal through the left speaker if you solo just the left. Yeah, so you can see I can do lots of stuff. Also, you can see the input gain here. You'll see that I'm changing it. So why is this important? Because you can see the readout actually when I touch it here. Okay, see, it's saying that calibrated to -18 lufs at 77 dB SPLC. So basically, when I play -18 lufs peak noise, it produces 77 dB SPLC weighted at this spot, at my listening spot. This is why this is important, because I can change how loud I wanna perceive the sound. So obviously I can stay in a adequate range of hearing and also not damage my ears. Okay, obviously you should not be damaging your ears by blasting your speakers to the fullest. But anyway, this is how a lot of people calibrate the monitors actually. Yeah, so I didn't have the resources to buy an actual monitoring controller like the RAM system stuff. Okay, and so I thought I'll make one. This is a DIY thing. Okay, so this is an old tablet, Android tablet running Lemur, and this is connected to this plugin actually. Yeah, so this is connected to this plugin, and I can control the plugin through that. So basically, also I have another. This is different stuff actually, right? So I can add plugins, and then the mix groups and stuff. This is actually inspired from Hans Zimmer. Actually, similarly, the key switches page, but mostly I'll use this one for as monitoring controller when I'm mixing and mastering kind of stuff. And the other page is mostly while I'm producing, because then I need to add instruments or add plugins and blah 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 whatever. But this is how I use the listen bus. So I'll now what will happen is, if let's say I change the input gain. Okay, let's say I change the input gain uh, to -12.9 while listening. But if I render my main out, it will this plugin will not be affecting that. So basically the main out will render as if there were no plugin, because there's no plugin on main output, right? But when playing back, all the signal will go through this plugin while playing back through speakers. So that's the main benefit of having listen bus, because listen bus will actually act as a proxy to the main output, and it will let you put a lot of plugins there. For example, the room correction softwares. Now I don't use Sound ID. Sonavox is a great company. I use their mic, but I don't like the Sound ID software actually, because in my room it was widening the center image a little bit. I mean, very slightly, but it was doing it, and so I didn't like it. But they are a great company, and I use their mic actually to you know test the speakers and calibrate the speakers and stuff. So yeah, this is it. I think I have explained how I use Listen Bus. Just need to keep in mind that to use this workflow, you have to have the main out and listen bus routed to the same physical outputs. So I hope it was helpful. Bye bye. Ciao.